roof opens up. Oh, it's hard to beat April in Arizona. Just a beautiful night for baseball in downtown Phoenix on this Throwback Thursday. Robbie Ray and the D-backs tonight, a chance to take 3 of 4 from the division rival Giants and open a season 3-1 for the first time in 4 years. This is a big one tonight, BB.
It really is. I mean, it's very early in the season to call a game a big one, but given the Diamondbacks' history in the National League West recently, the Giants' dominance of the division along with the Dodgers, 3 out of 4 would be great. Here's how Bruce Bochy is going to line them up tonight for the Gigantes. Gorkys Hernandez starting in center field. Brandon Belt at first base. Hunter Pence out in right field. Buster Posey doing the catching again tonight. Brandon Crawford will be at shortstop. Eduardo Nunez at third. Got to find a way to stop that guy. Chris Marrero out in left field. Our old buddy Aaron Hill getting the start at second base tonight. And right-hander Jeff Samardzija on the mound.
Your Ram Truck starting pitcher for the D-backs is left-hander Robbie Ray. Last season, loads of potential, but a mixed bag. 218 strikeouts. Only 3 National League pitchers had more. However, only 2 pitchers in the league gave up more earned runs than Robbie, and only 6 in the league issued more walks.
And we know one of Robbie's issues in the past has been too many pitches. Getting up to that 100-pitch mark in the 5th inning, sometimes before that, it'd really be good for him to have a quick first inning, get back in that dugout right away.
You said it. All right, on defense for the D-backs, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers. Chris Herman the start in left field tonight.
And once again, I'll repeat, you can never have too many catchers in the starting lineup. So Chris Herman playing left field tonight, A.J. Pollock in center. David Peralta back in the lineup in right field tonight. Jake Lamb and Chris Owings will be on the left side of the infield. Daniel Descalso getting the start at second. Paul Goldschmidt over at first. Jeff Mathis once again behind the plate for lefty Robbie Ray.
DJ Rayburn, our plate umpire tonight. He'll call the balls and strikes. The crew chief Greg Gibson's at first base. Tim Timmons at second. And the third base umpire tonight is Jim Wolf. Roof and panels open on this Throwback Thursday. The Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants. A great night for baseball here at Chase Field. Fastball misses on Gorkys Hernandez, and it's 1-0. Hernandez 0 for 5 with a pair of strikeouts in the leadoff spot last night. He had a pair of hits in Tuesday's game when he knocked in 4 runs. That was a career high for him. Still no Denard Span for the Giants. He played in the opener, but he's been out ever since then. Bothered this week with some tightness in his left hip. So Hernandez starts in center field for the 3rd consecutive game. There's a strike from Robbie. It's 2-1.
And one thing about Robbie Ray, we could lose our cameras. As long as we had audio, you would know who's pitching. Grunting on every delivery.
There it is. Hernandez trying to bunt for a base hit, but it's foul. 2-2. Gorkys Hernandez 2 for 12 in the series coming into tonight. Or the Giants, you know, you forget about the Giants. They've been here for a long time. Of course, they train in Scottsdale. So Bruce Bochy's ball club has spent 50 of the last 53 days right here in Arizona. But after tonight, the Giants don't come back here until the end of August. So we won't see them for about 4.5 months.
Well, we will see him again next week in San Francisco. Quick turnaround after playing the 3-game series against the Cleveland Indians here at Chase Field. Diamondbacks will travel to the Bay Area to take on the Giants again.
Our first road series of the year coming up Monday through Wednesday, 3 games. That Monday game is a day game. The home opener for the Giants as Robbie Ray gets his first strikeout in 2017. Time now, BB, for your Valley Honda dealers. Key to the game.
Well, we've talked a lot about Robbie Ray's pitch count in the past, and we want to emphasize quality and quantity tonight. You know, if you make good pitches, especially in the early part of the ball game, can work your way through this Giants lineup. Hopefully the quantity of pitches will get him deep into the game.
Brandon Belt. D-backs have the shift on. There's ball 1. Belt 4 hits in the series, including a double, a triple, and a home run. He's also walked twice. There you see the defensive lineman behind Robbie Ray. Daniel Descalso, the second baseman, right about where he normally would be. Chris Owings, the shortstop, in short right field. There's the strike. It's 1-1. Belt tripled and homered last night. A solo shot off Taijuan Walker that made it 4-1 Giants in the 5th inning. But the D-backs came back again. Brandon Webb's never say Diamondbacks in a 1-8-6.
How about Webby showing off his hitting prowess in the pregame show?
I was told he even warned you that he would have a surprise for you in the pregame show.
It was a surprise.
Him getting a hit?
He made contact.
Well, in fairness to Webby, we have kind of given him a hard time over the last few years about his hitting.
The only question I have, it was with the bases loaded against the Atlanta Braves, and he hit that ball to the warning track in left center field. All three runners scored, and you catch the tail end of it, and Webby just trotting into second base. I think he thought he got all of it and went into his home run trot.
He was Cadillacing a bit. He's certainly no Madison Bumgarner when it comes to hitting prowess. Robbie Ray, for the most part, staying away from fastballs against Brandon Belt, but he's now run the count full 3-2.
That was pointed out by our crack staff that our pre and post game set has one guy who couldn't hit and one guy that couldn't pitch.
Gracie and Webby. Funny how they both talk about the things they couldn't do. A drive to center field. A.J. Pollock. He's got it on the warning track. Allowed out number 2. That'll bring up Hunter Pence.
Right fielder, number 8.
You know, Bert, not to belabor the point about Robbie Ray and pitch counts, but he led the major leagues in most pitches per inning last year. Over 18 pitches per inning.
Well, no D-back starter has had a 1-2-3 first as of yet. And now he'll deal with Pence, who had 2 more hits last night. He tripled and singled. He's got 6 hits in the series. Robbie really mixing it up here early in the first time through the order. Seen some change-ups, some sliders. Missed with a fastball, and it's 2-0. Well, that's a priority, certainly, Bob, as you've mentioned, for Robbie this year. Can he maintain that dominant strikeout profile, but at the same time find a way to become more efficient and pitch deeper into games? He averaged less than 5.5 innings per start last year. That was nearly the lowest mark among all major league starters. Pence takes a big cut, and it's 2-2.
And I think as Robbie continues to develop, he'll get to the point where if he needs a strikeout, he's able to reach back, put a little extra on that fastball. But if possible, pitch to early contact, let your defense work like Webby was talking about on the pregame show, like this.
Chris Owings at shortstop. And there it is. A good start for Robbie Ray. A 1-2-3 first. Diamondbacks coming up against the sharp Jeff Samardzija. Back at Chase Field, D-backs set to bat against your Ram truck. Starting pitcher for the Giants, it's Jeff Samardzija. 32 starts, just over 200 innings for the Giants last year after he got a $90 million free agent contract. The dozen wins a career high. He worked at least 200 innings for the 4th consecutive year.
Yeah, he's a real horse. We talked about this in the past. Jeff Samardzija, of course, played football at Notre Dame as well as baseball, and I think that saves some wear and tear and some mileage on that right arm. He didn't pitch in the summer leagues. He wasn't pitching in the collegiate wood bat leagues. So this guy, his arm is younger than his chronological age.
A.J. Pollock, what a great start it's been for A.J. He'll lead it off for the Diamondbacks. Fastballs in there at 93. Pollock 7 for 14 to start the year. 2 doubles and a home run. Had a 3-hit night last night. Fastball missed in that time. And it's 1-1. Jeff Samardzija did not have a very encouraging start to his spring. Couple of ugly outings, but those were relatively early. 7 Cactus League appearances. He was 1-3 in ERA over 5.5. But his spring ended well. 9 scoreless innings in his final 2 outings. Two and 2. You'll see a lot of fastballs from Jeff Samardzija.
Especially first time through the lineup. He'll go more to his secondary pitches the second and third time through the lineup, but you'll see a lot of two-seam sinkers, a lot of cut fastballs. Complements that with a splitter and an occasional slider.
Broken bat roller in the hole. It's under the glove of Nunez. Crawford is there, and they get A.J. Pollock just in time. A little tweener for the Giants infield, but there's the Gold Glover Brandon Crawford.
Nunez tried to get to the ball, could not. Crawford right there fields the ball on the backhand side. No wasted motion whatsoever. The strong throw, and it had to be a strong throw to get A.J. Pollock.
Samardzija actually threw that sinker more often than his four-seam fastball last year, so he gets more than his share of ground balls. For somebody you consider to be a strikeout pitcher, here's David Peralta. And again, a fastball starts it off, strike one. David still trying to get on the board in 2017. He's back in right field tonight. An 0 for 9 start. Samardzija last year average fastball velocity 94.3 miles per hour. That ranked him top 10 among all major league starting pitchers. So he's a hard thrower out there. And he's built like a football player. 6'5", 225. Now 32 years old. Fastball in, missed, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, started the sequence with a couple of sinkers right at David and tailed him back over the inside corner, and then came back on the next 2 pitches, cutting that fastball in on David.
Goldie's got that back foot up against the railing in the on-deck circle. And Peralta strikes out, 2 down. Your lineup for Torey Lovullo's Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, we've seen A.J. Pollock at the top in center field, David Peralta in right field, Paul Goldschmidt at first base making his way to the plate right now. He'll be followed by Jake Lamb at third base, Chris Owings at shortstop, Chris Herman out in left field, Daniel Descalso at second base, Jeff Mathis behind the plate for left-hander Robbie Ray.
Goldie 3 hits in the series, including a home run here Tuesday. Last night, Paul walked twice, struck out twice, and got his first stolen base of the year. That gave him 100 career homers and 100 career steals. Only 4 other first basemen have ever done that in the history of the game. So he's in good company. Jeff Bagwell, the big cat Andres Galarraga, Derek Lee, and Dan Dreesen.
Danny Dreesen, a little bit of a surprise. Played with and against Dan Dreesen during the course of our careers, and I would have never guessed he stole any bases.
Plus, he replaced Tony Perez at first in the Big Red Machine, and then he was a Giant too, wasn't he, Dan Dreesen? Yeah. Chris Young, the outfielder, had been the only Diamondback ever in the 100-100 club until Goldie joined him. 1-2 pitch.
Well, this is one guy Goldie would like to figure out. He hasn't had much success against Jeff Samardzija in their respective careers. He's only 3 for 21 lifetime with 9 strikeouts against the big Giants right-hander.
Buster Posey behind the plate, thinking things over. He got the corner down and away. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Jeff Samardzija. No score at Chase Field.
Welcome back. I'm Kate Longworth. No score as we head to the second. Well, Robbie Ray spent this spring trying to discover just why he fell behind the count so often last year. So he logged many hours both on the mound and in the video room. And in the end, Robbie told me it was more of a shift in his mentality. He said he had to let go of that focus he had on the strikeout and instead recognize just how valuable it is to pitch to contact and then sit back and trust your defense to do the rest.
Well, he had a strikeout in the first inning, but it was a 17-pitch first, a 1-2-3 inning for him, and Buster Posey leads off the second for the Giants.
And you called it in that first inning, mixing it up. He threw 9 fastballs and 8 sliders in that first inning.
Buster Posey on base most of the night last night. He singled twice and walked. In fact, he's walked 4 times in the series. And again, Robbie goes away from the fastball that time. It gets a strike. It's 1-1. Robbie spent much of this spring trying to throw those breaking balls in there for strikes. A lot of breaking pitches this spring from Robbie, both sliders and curveballs, trying to land them in the strike zone. And if you don't get the strike call and they swing, at least maybe you get some soft contact and some quick at bats. And especially that slider, throwing that one in the zone. It's Posey to wave at that one. Second strikeout for Robbie Ray.
Came on a breaking ball in the dirt. Pretty good pitch right there with a 2-strike count on a good hitter. It's Buster to chase a bad pitch out of the zone. That's a little bit unusual for Robbie. Last year, almost 61% of his strikeouts came on fastballs, which is not really a big surprise. We saw Taijuan Walker last night, a guy that gets most of his strikeouts with that big fastball, and Robbie Ray right out of the same mold.
Here's another good hitter, Brandon Crawford, the shortstop. And again, stays away from the fastball on the first pitch, and it's 0-1. Crawford 5 hits in the series, including 2 doubles and a home run. He scored 4 times. Robbie ahead 0-2. Robbie Ray last season 218 strikeouts. Max Scherzer, the late Jose Fernandez, and Madison Bumgarner were the only National League pitchers with more. And Robbie averaged, this was kind of amazing, almost historic actually. He averaged 11.3 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched last year. That was second best in the majors ever, behind only the late Jose Fernandez. In fact, only 10 other pitchers in baseball history have struck out batters at such a high rate. And it's a list like Nolan Ryan, Pedro Martinez, Randy Johnson, and Robbie Ray. Broken bat, foul ground. Mathis on the run, and he's got it. Nice sliding grab by Jeff Mathis. Will Willie Mays say, hey, over the shoulder slide?
Boy, you definitely want to make a catch on this. Robbie Ray got so far into Brandon Crawford's kitchen, I think he broke his bat, hit that pop-up that wasn't very high in the air. Jeff Mathis really had to hustle over there to make that sliding catch. You definitely want to record an out if you make a pitch that good.
Well, Mathis made it stick, and here's the troublesome Nunez. 7 for 13 in the series. He had 2 more hits last night. He's stolen 3 bases, and he scored 4 runs. First pitch swinging right to Chris Owings. Another good inning for Robbie Ray. 6 up, 6 down. No score at Chase Field. Jake Lamb will lead off the second inning for the Diamondbacks against the Giants' Jeff Samardzija. Here's the defense for San Francisco. It's brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
Chris Marrero gets the start in left field tonight. Gorky Hernandez once again in center. Hunter Pence over in his customary right field position. It'll be Eduardo Nunez and Brandon Crawford on the left side of the infield. Former D-back Aaron Hill getting the start at second base with Brandon Belt at first. Buster Posey behind the plate, and big Jeff Samardzija on the mound.
Yeah, Joe Panik gets the night off against the lefty Robbie Ray. Jake Lamb. Jake, a pair of hits this season. He doubled in last night's game and homered into the swimming pool on Tuesday. Samardzija ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. So far so good for Robbie Ray there, Bob. 6 up, 6 down, couple of strikeouts, got some ground balls.
That looks good, pounding that strike zone. It is a little surprising to see him throw as many sliders as he has this early in the ball game. Usually Robbie just attacks with that fastball early and then incorporates the breaking pitches as he moves forward.
Well, Samardzija uses the fastball to get his 3rd consecutive strikeout. 1 down in the 2nd for the Diamondbacks, and here's Chris Owings. Boy, what a start it's been for CO. Made his right field debut last night, back at shortstop tonight. He has had at least 1 hit and 1 RBI in each of the first 3 games this year. Samardzija misses upstairs, and it's 1-0. Chris, a big night last night. He walked twice, singled, doubled, drove in a run, scored a run. He stole 2 bases. All while playing his first ever big league game in right field. And boy, that whole deal, Bob, last night sure looked like it'll work out. Sitting Peralta against the lefty, getting Owings bat in there.
You know, I know most fans would like to see a regular lineup, same guys hitting in the same spot in the order and playing the same position, but because of the length of the season and the grind of the travel, the injuries that are going to pile up over the course of the season that aren't bad enough to put you on the disabled list, but keep you from being your best. I think the more versatile guys can be, the more Torey Lovullo can flip guys in and out, make sure to keep everybody sharp. I think it's going to benefit this team in the long run.
Of course, Owings in right field gives Nick Ahmed some starts at shortstop. Well, Samardzija has now struck out 4 in a row, and 4 of the 5 he's faced.
There's that elevated fastball up there above the letters. Samardzija's not really known for elevating the fastball. We've talked about the cutter and the sinker. Usually he just tries to pound away down at the knees and get the ground balls he's looking for, but got a good result that time with a high fastball.
Chris Herman, the start in left field tonight. The night off for Yasmani Tomas. And he sends one toward the gap in left center. It'll drop in front of Gorkys Hernandez, the Herminator. D-backs first hit, a 2-out single.
Second baseman, number 3, Daniel Descalso.
Daniel Descalso, the start at second tonight. Brandon Drury gets the night off. First start this year for Daniel, and there at second base. He was part of that big 2-out 9th inning rally on opening day. His RBI single, in fact, tied the ball game.
Yeah, I tried to make the point in the open of the show very quickly, but I'll expand a little bit now. You think of guys like Daniel Descalso and Chris Herman and some of the other guys on the bench in spring training because of the split squad games, because of the B games in the morning, the early part of spring training games, the starters usually only go 1 or 2 at bats and they're out of the ball game. And these are the guys that are getting the at bats in spring training. Bench players will never be as sharp as they are when they're coming out of spring training. That's when they have the most consistent at bats, the most consistent playing time. So why not get them in there when they're at their best?
And a guy like Descalso has played in some higher intensity games. He was the second baseman for Team Italy in the World Baseball Classic. The 2-0 pitch. There's a tapper foul. It's 2-1. Daniel picked up by the Diamondbacks in early February. Last 2 seasons with the Colorado Rockies. Before that, the St. Louis Cardinals, where he saw a lot of time in the postseason for the Redbirds. He said that World Baseball Classic for him was, other than the World Series, the most fun he's ever had putting on a baseball uniform. Some of the most intense games he's ever played in. This is a fastball, and it's 2-2. Boy, I bet there's a big difference when you're up there against a 94-mile-an-hour fastball backed up by a 92-ish sinker with a whole different kind of movement on it. One's rising, one's sinking, one's cutting.
I mean, there's a number of pitchers in the major leagues that get by with just that, 3 different fastballs. They don't really throw an off-speed pitch. They don't really throw a breaking ball. But if you can command 3 different fastballs, you're going to be very effective.
Well, Buster Posey hangs on, and Jeff Samardzija, through 2 innings, has 5 strikeouts.
1 hit in the game. It belongs to the Diamondbacks. No score as we head to the top half of the 3rd inning. It'll be the bottom 3rd for the Giants. Hey, fans, the day after every Diamondbacks win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com. Hey, dial them up right now.
Oh, it's a good start for Robbie Ray. He's retired all 6 he's faced. He's got 2 strikeouts. And Chris Marrero leads off the Giant 3rd. There's a first pitch fastball from Robbie. Marrero 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts in the series. He drove in a run with a sacrifice fly on Tuesday night. Left field is a platoon situation right now for Bruce Bochy. Jared Parker, the left-hand hitter, starts against the right-hand pitchers, and Marrero, the right-hand hitter, starts against the lefties. Well, mixing it up early in the ball game the first time through the order really seems to be working for Robbie Ray.
Yeah, first 28 pitches through the first 2 innings of this game, 15 fastballs and 13 sliders.
And that's exactly what you want. A quick at bat, some weak contact as Descalso throws him out.
Second baseman.
Yeah, this was last season. Average 5 2/3 innings per start. Unfortunately, 100 pitches, 99.3 per start. And you can see 24 times pitch 5 or more innings, 8 times less than 5 innings.
Former D-back Aaron Hill. Aaron drew a bases loaded walk as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning last night. And then stayed in the game in left field, his first ever big league outfield appearance. He had played some there this spring.
And the first 2 balls in the inning were hit to him.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I had a chance to catch up with Bruce Bochy before the game, and he had nothing but good things to say about Aaron Hill, which isn't a surprise. Everywhere he's been, people rave about his attitude, his professionalism. And this stop in San Francisco, no exception.
Well, they brought in a whole bunch of guys to compete really for one spot, all veterans. Jimmy Rollins was in camp with the Giants for a long time. Gordon Beckham. Of course, they already have the youngster Kelby Tomlinson. And they brought in Aaron Hill. It seemed almost at the last moment like an afterthought. You know, they called him in the Valley. Hey, what are you doing? Why don't you come down and try out for the team? And so at 35 years old, he decided why not, and he made the ball club. Full count on Aaron Hill, 3-2.
And I'm a little bit surprised the Diamondbacks aren't shifting more on Aaron Hill. We know that he likes to pull that ball hard into left field. He hit more foul line drive home runs than anybody in baseball when he was here.
Well, this one's going to stay fair. Aaron Hill back at Chase Field, and it's 1-0 Giants. Well, Aaron had a good year last year with both the Brewers and the Red Sox. He hit over 260, had 10 homers, and he's got home run number 1 on the year.
Just a center cut fastball. You can't get away with this pitch to a dead fastball hitter inside part of the plate and launch to left field.
Well, speaking of launched, here's Jeff Samardzija. And he has been one of the stars of batting practice all week long. Samardzija in BP, not just today, but really all week, has hit some absolute bombs.
He's just been peppering those poor people up in Friday's Front Row Sports Grill. They're trying to enjoy their salad and iced tea, and Samardzija's dropping bombs on them.
There's a baseball in my kale salad. Don't tell anybody. Everybody's going to want one. 1-2 now. Yeah, he's a big dude up there, as we mentioned. Former football player, 6'5", 225. And he does have 2 career homers. He's got that easy, relaxed, open stance. And here's some of what we're talking about. I mean, he's just teeing off.
Swing hard in case you hit it.
Those are wiffle ball swings.
That's the one that was impressive.
He hit it into the pool.
Going oppo into the pool.
And then toward Fridays. Oh. He swings at that one and strikes out. 3rd strikeout for Robbie Ray. Yeah, he hits one in the pool, opposite field, and hits one into Fridays. Something to see. Gorkys Hernandez struck out to lead off the ball game. Another broken bat roller. Here's Owings at shortstop. But Aaron Hill's back in town. His home run has made it 1-0 Giants.
Aaron Hill's home run, the only run in the ball game so far. Giants lead at 1-0 as we head to the bottom half of the 3rd. The D-backs home run tonight means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack-in-the-Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
The catcher, Jeff Mathis, leads off the D-backs 3rd against Jeff Samardzija, who's got a 1-0 lead thanks to the Aaron Hill home run. Samardzija so far has faced 7 batters, and he struck out 5 of them. And he starts Mathis off with strike 1. Jeff 0 for 3, couple of strikeouts Tuesday night following that 3-hit day in Sunday's opener. Lifts it in the air, right center field. Pence and Hernandez. Hunter Pence has it. And that's the first out in the bottom of the 3rd. Samardzija so far 30 pitches, 21 for strikes.
Samardzija was quite the enigma in Chicago when he initially got to the big leagues. They didn't know whether he was going to be a starter or reliever. A lot of people envisioned a big guy like this that throws hard, has a good splitter. He might be a good closer. Other people said, no, he's big and strong and durable. He needs to be a starter. And to be quite honest, the way he threw the ball in his career, it was hard to figure out where he was going to fit in. But as time went by, he sharpened up his arsenal out there on the mound and became a pitcher rather than a thrower.
Well, we know Robbie Ray is occasionally a hitter. And it's funny you mentioned how Samardzija, you know, he might be in his early 30s, but his arm is only probably in his mid-20s, having played football. And he wasn't a starting pitcher early, so as a reliever, there's even less wear and tear on the arm. And the irony is he's turned out to be a sturdy workhorse as a starter. At least 32 starts and 200 innings each of the last 4 years. But he's been much traveled over that time. He's played with the Cubs, the A's, the White Sox, and now the Giants. On the ground, and it's off the glove of Aaron Hill, who can't make the diving stop. Second hit for the Diamondbacks. Robbie Ray, an infield single.
Center fielder.
That'll bring up A.J. Pollock. A.J. grounded out his first time up. Bouncer to third. Nunez. Hill. They roll it. Samardzija, we mentioned top 10 in the majors in double plays. He leads it 1-0.
I think they're fun. Not the most comfortable jerseys to put on.
They always like itch my neck or something like that.
It's kind of nice to have a jersey that
that doesn't have sleeves on it and you can move around.
Felt like I was looking fresh and I was ready to play.
I think of the Diamondbacks winning the World Series every time we wear them.
Well, you can speak to that on this first throwback.
Me too,
Thursday.
Arch. Look at the socks that they've got. Wow, very nice. Yeah, it's funny. Robbie Ray said he liked pitching in the vest because he didn't have to worry about the sleeves, but he's wearing long sleeves under the vest.
Interesting. There was a lot of discussion when we asked the players these questions about the belts on the throwback Thursday, because they're sort of like the old school Sansa belt elastic stretchy things instead of just the regular belt with a buckle.
Well, we had black belts for on the road and purple belts for at home, and I've still got some in the closet. I wear them in the wintertime with my jeans.
Well, the D-backs will put the shift on for Brandon Belt, who leads off the fourth. 1-0 Giants lead the Diamondbacks on an Aaron Hill solo homer in the third. Chris Owens, the shortstop, will move out to short right field. Belt flying out to center his first time up. Hit a ball pretty deep, actually, to center. That was run down by A.J. Pollock.
As a matter of fact, I'm wearing my black belt tonight. I had to take a look. Last time I had this on with the uniform was Game 5 of the World Series.
You're wearing hold on. You're wearing a World Series belt right now?
Absolutely. Well-traveled belt, by the way.
My question is, what's holding up your pants right now?
Well,
hello.
My stomach.
That's why we can't take the shot. 2-0 on Brandon Belt.
The belt has shrunk since I was a manager. I've had to go a couple of loops looser.
And coincidentally, not ironically, we have this discussion while Brandon Belt is at the plate. There is the World Series belt right there. How about that?
Game 5, Yankee Stadium. The last time I wore this with the uniform. And tonight is the most recent time I've worn it. Just can't let it go.
And as we mentioned, that Belt walks. His third walk of the series. There it is. Is there a mark on there? Is there like a stamp or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of a generic black belt with a silver buckle, and looked good with those gray unis.
Yeah, these have that sort of stretchy Sansa belt thing going. Just like the old Little League uniforms. Hunter Pence grounded out his first time up. First walk issued tonight by either pitcher. Fastball missed. 1-0 on Hunter Pence. Already with 6 hits in the series. Hunter Pence, limited to just over 100 games last year, had a bad hamstring injury. So he only played 13 times against the Diamondbacks last year, but he was still a problem. Hit nearly .390 versus the D-backs last season with a couple of home runs. 50 pitches for Robbie Ray, 29 strikes.
Well, Hunter Pence is one of those guys. If you went to a tryout camp and saw Hunter Pence, you'd say, son, you better find something else to do. Baseball's not your thing. Look at this throwing stroke. It's low 3/4, almost sidearm, kind of slings it almost like he's throwing hand grenades or something. In the on-deck circle, he's got a very unique routine that he goes through before heading up to the plate to take an at-bat. Yeah, he must have been as a youngster, tough for scouts to figure. This is his on-deck routine. Now, if you were a scout and saw that at a tryout camp, you'd just cross his name off the list and look at the next guy.
Son, name your price.
But you'd make a big mistake because, boy, is this guy a ball player.
You know, it's funny, when he throws, he looks like the old-timey black and white, you know, speeded up film of Walter Johnson or somebody warming up at the Polo Grounds or someplace. Griffith Stadium, I guess, in his case. 1-2. Well, somebody saw him and liked him. He was a second-round pick by the Astros back in '04 out of Texas Arlington. Now beginning his 5th full season in San Francisco after stops in Houston and Philadelphia. Lost this one high in the air. Pretty deep left field. Herman at the track, and he's got it just shy of the wall. Boy, Chris Herman took his time. A nice straight route to the ball that time. And that's the first out in the 4th.
Catcher, Buster Posey.
Those catchers out there, they can go get them.
Hey, piece of cake. And now the throw, he's going to catch some grief from his teammates for this. He two-hops the cutoff man. Of course, the runner at first base wasn't going anywhere, but you know he's going to hear about that when he gets back in the dugout.
Not getting any style points that time. Looks good in that uni, though. Buster Posey, a strikeout victim in his first at bat against Robbie Ray. Robbie has walked 1, struck out 3.
He looks fresh.
Like the kids say. That one missed. 1-0. Drives this one deep to left center field. Herman and Pollock are out there, and AJ has it right in front of Chris. Well, that's the downside to playing, you know, more of your bench players, especially a guy like Chris Herman, who's a catcher playing the outfield. Those two aren't used to being out there next to each other.
Yeah, communication is really important when you have a guy playing out of position like Chris Herman is tonight. AJ Pollock, the captain of the outfield, had that one squared up. A relatively easy catch for either player. Yeah, Herman gives way at the very last instant, lets AJ make the catch.
I mean, Chris is, Robbie didn't like that one. Chris is way out there, almost in straightaway center field at that point. So 2 down for Brandon Crawford. Torey Lovello, bench coach Jerry Narin. Crawford popped up his first time up. Jeff Mathis made a really nice play on a foul pop up behind the plate to retire Crawford. Brandon Belt takes off. The throw from Mathis, not in time. Brandon Belt has got his first stolen base this year. Not normally a guy you see take off like that.
No, I think he just went on first movement by Robbie Ray, trying to get into scoring position here with 2 outs in the inning. Chris Owings is not sure. You can see him kind of shaking his right hand. He wasn't sure if he got the tag on Belt's back before the foot was on the base.
Everybody looking at Torey Lovello in the Diamondback dugout. Here's a look.
Throw was a little bit to the first base side of the bag, and I think he might have swiped it right down the back of the uniform right there.
There's Jerry Narin on the phone with Alan Campbell. And there will be no challenge from the D-backs dugout.
It's kind of tough to tell whether he actually made contact or just grazed the uniform as he came down with that tag.
So a 1-0 count on Crawford, 2 outs and Belt at second. Slaps it the other way. Chris Herman has it. They wave Brandon Belt. The throw is cut off. It's 2-0 Giants, and Crawford is out at second, but the run scores. That stolen base leads to a Giant run. They lead it 2-0.
Diamondbacks ready to go to work in the bottom of the 4th, trailing the Giants 2-0. It's time to take a look at this day in baseball history, brought to you by Geico. Opening day here at Bank One Ballpark back in '04. Luis Gonzalez of the Diamondbacks homered, as did Luis Gonzalez, second baseman for the Colorado Rockies. Only the second time in baseball history that 2 guys with the same name homered. in the same day.
Do we know who the other two guys were?
Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr.
Good
Yeah,
call.
they did it playing for the Mariners in 1990.
David Peralta leads off the bottom of the fourth against Jeff Samardzija, who now has a 2-0 lead. Peralta drives one deep the other way. It backs up Marrero, and there it goes. David Peralta, his first hit in 2017, is a home run. David had been 0 for 10, but the solo shot makes it a 2-1 ball game.
That's something David did throughout spring training as well. Backspinning balls to the opposite field. Gets tremendous carry on that pitch up in the zone. Marrero took a few steps back on the warning track and then realized he had no chance as that one sails over his head.
Goldie, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Good to get David Peralta on the board this year with a jumbo jack. A free jumbo jack tomorrow with a purchase of a large drink from our friends at Jack in the Box. 2-0 on Paul Goldschmidt. You know, it's funny, David 0 for 10. You know, he hit a couple of balls hard earlier in this series. So you sort of had a sense that maybe that one was coming the way he was going. We'll see if that rattles Samardzija. Goldie gets into one. Way back and gone.
Oh, my.
Diamondbacks back to back, and we're all tied up. Well, Bob, how about two opposite field home runs?
Wow, and Goldie's looked like a left-handed pull hitter. That was way up into the bleachers in right field. A little cutter at 91, outer third of the plate. Goldie stays right on it and absolutely barrels the living daylights out of it. No doubter deep into the seats in right.
His second of the season, and it's 2-2 back-to-back jumbo jacks. Do I hear 3 in a row, Jake Lamb? Jake struck out his first time up. Goldie 395 feet, Peralta 385. Couple of opposite field shots tie it up here in the fourth. Lamb bidding for one more, sends it toward the corner. It's in the bullpen, but foul. He just missed 3 in a row.
Not by much. Just a little bit too much slice on that one down the left field line.
Boy, Jeff Samardzija just tore through this lineup the first 3 innings. He struck out 5 of the first 7 batters he faced tonight. Had a double play ball behind him to end the third, but the Diamondbacks open up the fourth with back-to-back homers. 0-2 on Lamb. There's strike 3. Jake strikes out for the second time tonight, 1 down.
Now you see Buster Posey move on that inside corner, and Samardzija gets just enough late movement on that pitch to nip the inside corner for strike 3.
Good example of how Buster Posey has become among the elite pitch framers in all of baseball. Chris Owings, a strikeout victim his first time up. Now 6 strikeouts for the Shark. A tapper over the glove of Samardzija. The backhander by Aaron Hill. He makes a nice play. Well, he's done that on this field a few times. 2 outs in the fourth. Here's Chris Herman.
Left fielder, Chris Herman.
I know they have very high-tech ways to measure the distance of home runs, but I find it hard to believe Goldie's only went 395.
You don't argue with StatCast.
I guess not. It's 376 right there in right center field. The ball went at least 15 rows up into the bleachers. Well, as long as it lands on the other side of the fence when Goldie hits it, we don't care.
That's right. Second this season for Paul. Peralta's first hit this year. Swing and a miss by Herman, and it's 1-1. More of a shade than a shift by the Giants against Chris Herman. Crawford, the shortstop, almost directly behind the second base bag. Now he backs off just a bit. Chris Herman up there hunting fastballs, but he's missed the last 2 breaking balls. Base hit. Chris Herman gets the start in left field. He's 2 for 2. I think Buster wanted that pitch up and in a little bit more. Daniel Descalso now. Diamondbacks had their annual wives luncheon today, and the wife Cindy was over there. At the Greinke's, they had all the Diamondbacks wives over there, and Cindy got to meet Julia Descalso, who was a nurse, and she works a great deal in a Doctors Without Borders type of organization, and she's in Central America a lot, so that's very interesting. As Descalso lines out to belt, that ends the inning. But the Diamondbacks down 2-0, back-to-back opposite field home runs. Peralta gets us started, 385. Then Goldie, 395. It's 2-2, D-backs and Giants. Back-to-back home runs by David Peralta and Paul Goldschmidt have tied the game at 2. Hey, D-backs fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, don't worry, you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by your Valley Honda dealers. Just download the app and take Fox Sports Arizona and the Arizona Diamondbacks with you wherever you go. And I know one guy that works very hard on the Fox Sports Go app is Brett Hansen, the Fox Sports Arizona Director of Communications and Marketing. He's a Wyoming cowboy, and it's Brett's birthday today, so happy birthday, Brett.
Giddy up.
Of course, the great Kurt Gowdy was the original cowboy from Wyoming, and Brett Hansen right behind. Eduardo Nunez leads off the 5th against Robbie Ray. Now a 2-2 ball game. Nunez already 7 hits in the series. He's been a problem. He's stolen 3 bases. He's scored 4 runs. Very good speed. Finished last year with 40 stolen bases. That was 5th most of the major leagues. Acquired in the offseason for the Minnesota Twins. He was an all-star. I should say the all-star for the Twins last year. And then the Giants picked him up.
Well, he certainly gives the Giants a dimension that they don't have otherwise on this roster. A guy that can steal his way into scoring position, score from first base on an extra base hit. You look up and down this lineup, and yeah, Brandon Belt stole a base tonight, but this is the one guy you really have to worry about running those bases.
Chris Owings has been kept busy at shortstop. Another ground ball out for Robbie Ray. That's a very good sign. And that's the first out of the 5th.
Left fielder, Chris Marrero.
Let's see, I got 5 ground ball outs on my scorecard for Robbie. Here's Chris Marrero. He grounded out back in the 3rd. Told you about Chris Marrero's story. This is a guy who played a long time in the minor leagues. He played independent ball. That was just 2 years ago, in fact, with the Somerset Patriots in the Atlantic League. He's played winter ball in Venezuela, Mexico, the Dominican Republic. He's been all over. A former first-round pick by Washington in the draft in 2006, but coming into the year, he'd played fewer than 40 games in the major leagues, more than 1,000 games in the minors. That's going to get into the seats and out of play. So he's a baseball lifer at the age of 28.
And his approach is almost a mirror image of Jared Parker from the left side of the plate. They're sharing the position in the early going this season, and both guys have a lot of lift in their swing. The swing can get a little bit long at times, but when they do make solid contact, they're both capable of hitting it a long way.
Well, that's how Marrero made the ball club with 8 home runs this spring in Giants camp. There's Jared Parker. He's the left-hand hitting version of this left field platoon. Giants have had 11 different opening day left fielders in 11 years. And Robbie Ray gets the strikeout. 2 down in the 5th. Now 4 strikeouts for Robbie.
Hey fans, the race for the pennant starts now with the Giants against, or rather the D-backs against the Dodgers at Chase Field April 21st through 23rd. First 20,000 fans in attendance April 22nd will get the car sunshade courtesy of Safe Light Auto Glass, and on April 23rd kids can pick up the D-backs water bottle courtesy of Smile Generation. For tickets, as always, visit dbacks.com.
Aaron Hill drove in the game's first run. A solo homer to left. Got a 3-2 fastball down the middle, and he did not miss it. He usually doesn't. You know, joking a little bit about the pennant race and everything on April 6th, but I think it would mean a lot to win this game and win this series. Diamondbacks haven't started 3-1 in 4 years. And over the last 5 seasons, the D-backs have won just twice in 15 series against the Giants here in their home ballpark. The Torrey Lavello's ball club tonight, a chance to take 3 of 4 from the Giants to open up the season. It would be their first series win here against San Francisco since September of 2015. So that would really be a good note on which to start.
Absolutely. We've talked at length throughout spring training and the early going this season that National League West heavy schedule in the month of April. You really have to get off to a good start.
Aaron Hill patient up there. It's 3-1 now. Robbie so far has walked 1, struck out 4. The pitcher Samardzija on deck. A 2-out walk, so the Giants will at least clear the pitcher's spot.
Pitcher, Jeff Samardzija.
That's the kind of 2-out walk. You say, oh, big deal, the pitcher's up behind him and it'll be okay. But it's more pitches for Robbie. It just extends the inning a little bit more. Uses up those pitches a little earlier in the ball game than he'd like. So you look for a quick out right here. And he's ahead 0-2. Trying to get more efficient. We've seen a lot of sliders from Robbie tonight. 75 pitches, 43 strikes. And he makes short work of Samardzija. Strands the 2-out walks. We're 2-2 D-backs and Giants.
Welcome back. Giants, Diamondbacks all tied up here as we head to the bottom of the 5th. But now we've seen what he can do out on the gridiron. And thanks to our Cox high-speed highlight, the Diamondbacks had a chance to see what Cardinals running back David Johnson could do out on the diamond. Johnson was on hand this afternoon taking BP. He also threw out the ceremonial first pitch. if we can call it that. Lavella had nothing but praise for the Card star, saying that he's an incredible athlete as well as person, explaining he definitely wants Johnson on his team. But after seeing a few of his swings, that first pitch, well, he said they'd probably have to send him to the minors first. So thankfully, I don't think Johnson is going to quit his day job.
I'll take him on my fantasy team anytime.
Let's hope he doesn't quit his day job.
Jeff Mathis leads off the 5th against Jeff Samardzija. Boy, is he a good football player, though.
Ooh.
Oh, boy. A reminder, fans, after the Giants leave town here tonight, we've got 3 against the Cleveland Indians coming up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that Saturday game against the Tribe, the first bobblehead of the year. It's the Jake Lamb bobblehead. D-backs and the Indians. That bobble is courtesy of Arizona Sports 98.7 FM. You can get your tickets at dbacks.com. And I believe we're getting a visit now from the lovely Mike, who's here with the Jake Lamb bobblehead.
That's right, the lovely Jake Lamb bobblehead.
There it is. Just get your mic on. Is there anything left on that lamb?
Well, let me check. It is still actually fuzzy. This is the first time I've ever seen something like that in a bobblehead. That is unique.
It's a unique bobblehead.
It is definitely unique
in more ways than one, certainly. But yeah, this it actually has like lamb skin on there.
I don't know if it's actual authentic lamb skin.
Well,
it might be faux lamb skin. I don't know.
I like what you've done there. Yeah. 1-2 on Mathis. The Jake Lamb bobblehead, first bobblehead of the year, coming up Saturday as Mathis strikes out. That's 7 strikeouts for Samardzija. So will you be adding this to your collection?
I probably will. I'm not a huge bobblehead guy. I usually give them as gifts.
Yeah.
I'm not a big trinkets and stuff like that, so I usually give these out as gifts. And this one might find a way to stay in my house.
You don't have
this unique.
No big collection of Hummels on the mantle for you in the house?
I do not. No. I'm messy enough as it is. I don't need more stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to break anything.
Yeah, stuff you got to dust.
They make great gifts, though, so I give them away.
I did notice during FanFest at Salt River Fields this year, that's a great place to get bobbleheads. Every year when you go to FanFest, they have all the ones, from guys who aren't on the team anymore, ones they couldn't move.
It's almost like a competitive event to watch the fans, as soon as the gates open, rush to go get the bobbleheads or the giveaway jerseys or any of those items at I believe they call it like the D-backs yard sale at FanFest every year, and it's almost a competitive event. It's kind of like Black Friday, but at FanFest.
It's like
people are trying to get the best stuff.
When they have those wedding dresses on sale at the discount places and the brides are storming the gates. It's a lot like that.
That's it. FanFest. People go for the bobbleheads, and maybe if there's 1 or 2 of these left over somehow next year, people will be rushing for this one.
It's a one-of-a-kind item, and you can get it at the ballpark here Saturday. dbacks.com for your tickets. The Diamondbacks and the Indians. Thank you, the lovely Mike. I did notice a fair amount of Bob Brenly bobbleheads at FanFest this year.
Everybody's trying to unload those.
It's called Bob's Garage. Well, a couple of strikeouts open up the bottom of the 5th. That's now 8 punch-outs for Jeff Samardzija.
I probably shouldn't mention this until we work out some of the details, but I'm going to get together with Todd Walsh, and
oh no, you're going in, aren't you?
Gradually working my way through my own garage at home. I've been instructed to get rid of all that junk, so I'm going through cardboard boxes and pulling out all kinds of interesting memorabilia from my time here in Arizona as well as my time as a player. So I'm going to donate some of it to Todd's garage and give it away throughout the course of the season.
Well, you've already found a belt.
Yeah, well, I'm hanging on to the belt.
AJ 0 for 2. But won't that just create more clutter in Todd's garage? Well, I mean, they've already got the giant ball of string in there.
Better Todd's garage than Bob's garage.
Fair point. Score 1 for Joan Brenly. That's a foul ball. That is, I'm assuming that's where the order came from up top.
Yeah. Yes, dear. You're right. I'm sorry. That used to be the standard advice I would give. When I worked in Chicago, we'd send out best wishes. So-and-so's getting married this weekend. And I'd always tell the prospective groom, learn this phrase and use it often. Yes, dear, you're right. I'm sorry.
I know all your players, for the most part, used that when you were manager, didn't they? No? Didn't go that way?
Oh, no.
Didn't get too many of those from RJ, did you?
No. Not back then.
Yeah. 1-2. Well, Jeff Samardzija strikes out the side. He's got 9 strikeouts through 5. It's a 2-2 ball game.
Tied at 2, top of the 6th. Hey, fans, we invite you to participate in Gila River game nights by signing up at one of the interactive kiosks located right here at Chase Field during any D-backs home game.
Well, it's a good one here tonight. 2-2 as we start the 6th inning. Giants got their 2 runs on an Aaron Hill solo homer and a Brandon Crawford RBI single. They led it 2-0. Diamondbacks answered in the home half of the 4th. Back-to-back homers by Peralta and Goldschmidt. And now the leadoff man, Gorkys Hernandez, who's 0 for 2, leads off the 6th against Robbie Ray. Robbie so far has walked 2, struck out 5. He's given up just 2 hits. Well, last night, Taijuan Walker, who was a winner in his D-backs debut, became the first Diamondback starter to complete 6 innings. In fact, he was the first one to start 6 innings. And now Robbie starts the 6th inning with that pitch count in relatively decent shape here.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what we were talking about and hoping for. A more efficient Robbie Ray getting some ground ball out, some quick outs. Still no Denard Span if you're just joining us. He's got a little bit of a sore left hip, so Gorkys Hernandez his 3rd straight start in center field. And Robbie was ahead, but he's missed with a couple, and it's now full count 3-2. There's Denard Span. Hernandez 2 for 14 in the series. Rolls it to 3rd, right to Jake Lamb. Good throw to Goldie, 1 away.
First baseman, Brandon Belt.
Backhanded play by Jake Lamb. No issues right there. A high throw across the diamond, but Goldie's a big target over there at first base. Tough to throw it over his head.
Well, Jake had some occasional issues making those types of throws, the ones where he almost gets too much time to think about it. That was last year. Here's Brandon Belt, who has flied out. Walk, stolen a base, and scored a run in the 4th. Came in on the Crawford single. There you see Descalso near the second base bag, and Owens the shortstop out in the outfield. Lamb toes on the grass midway between 2nd and 3rd. That's in there for a strike, and it's 1-1. Brandon Belt, the lefty, hitting 2nd tonight against the lefty Robbie Ray, and Belt is not a guy you worry about platooning. Last year he hit nearly 280 against left-hand pitchers, including 6 homers. Belt and Crawford the only lefties in the starting lineup for Bruce Bochy. Joe Panic gets the night off.
That stolen base that he had back in the 4th inning really looming large in the game right now. Looking at his career stats, he did have a season of 12 stolen bases back in the 2012 season. Yeah, but always for a high percentage. Doesn't run a lot, but picks his spots well, and usually it's when his team needs him to get into scoring position.
Oh, Robbie Ray gets him on a fastball. 6 strikeouts for Robbie.
Right fielder, Hunter Pence.
Going inside. Elevated that one up there above the belt to get the swing and a miss.
Well, he's just under 90 pitches, 2 outs in the 6th, and it's Hunter Pence who's 0 for 2. He has grounded out, flied out. Torey Lovullo set up his rotation, saying they try to stay away from pitchers with similar deliveries pitching back-to-back, and Robbie Ray's following the big right-hander Taijuan Walker. And they had a pretty good opportunity to go right, left, right, and they decided to take advantage of that. So what do you think now the first time through the rotation here, BB, in 2017?
I like the way it's set up. I really like the idea of giving the opposing team a different look from one night to the next. I think back to my playing days in the Houston Astros when they had J.R. Richard throwing 1,000 miles an hour, and they followed him up with Bob Nepper, a soft toss and left-hander that couldn't break a window. And then Nolan Ryan. It just, you give the other team a different look from one day to the next. If you face back-to-back or back-to-back-to-back pitchers that are very similar in style and throw from the same side, it becomes a little bit easier as an offense to get something going.
Shelby Miller will start here tomorrow night against Cleveland's Josh Tomlin. So Hunter Pence really did not like that strike call on the fastball by DJ Rayburn. And now the off-speed pitch miss, so it's a full count, 3-2. Oh, he just missed the corner. Third walk issued by Robbie Ray. And Buster Posey will come up.
Catcher Buster Posey.
We saw Jeff Mathis wanted that fastball down and away, and Robbie couldn't quite hit the spot. So now they'll figure out something for Buster Posey, who has struck out and flied out tonight. He's 0 for 2. And the D-backs bullpen will get busy with Robbie now over 90 pitches. Looks like Jorge De La Rosa, the left-hander, will start to warm up. Boy, he looked terrific in working the 7th inning last night. They've got Posey up right now. Should he reach, the lefty Crawford's on deck.
Well, you notice it right away, partner. The Robbie Ray really mixing it up tonight. He's thrown his fastball just over half the time, 52% of his pitches tonight. Last year it was 71%. So either feeling that slider tonight or has more confidence in it, or Jeff Mathis behind the plate is more willing to call it, but throwing a lot of sliders tonight.
Yeah, Robbie last year, after he had a difficult time with his changeup and his two-seam fastball, really the whole second half of the year just chucked those two pitches, and it was just fastball, slider, and mostly fastballs, as you said, Bob, more than 70% of the time. In fact, last season, only 3 starting pitchers in all of baseball threw a fastball more often than Robbie Ray. And if the fastball command was there, he'd get some strikeouts. If it wasn't, he'd get some walks. But hopefully this year he's a little bit more of a finished product, and we've seen that tonight, I think. Just trying to get through the 6th here.
I think it's especially important for Robbie after the success he had last year with the strikeouts and the fastball and just overpowering opposing lineups, to show that he can throw something off speed for strikes like he's thrown his slider tonight. Completely changes the book on Robbie Ray if he's able to continue to do this throughout the early going this season. You can't just go to the plate and sit on a fastball.
Well, he's ahead of Buster Posey now, 0-2. Stayed away from the fastball that time. He's at 95 pitches, 55 for strikes. De La Rosa continues warming up in the D-backs bullpen. Two outs, Hunter Pence at first.
Maybe a little indecision from Jeff Mathis that time. He got into a position to call the sign and then just kind of stopped and called timeout. He's going to regroup now. Give himself an opportunity to really think over the situation.
Well, Jeff oftentimes this spring would look over toward the D-backs dugout for Robbie Hammock. And Hammer would often signal in a pitch. That was in spring training, though, as Jeff tries to learn some of these guys. But there's Robbie Hammock, who'd been managing at Double-A for the Diamondbacks and is now here on the Major League staff. And they have all the data in there. And there you can see Mathis looking into Robbie Hammock right now. Can hear the Giant dugout all screaming balk at DJ Rayburn and Greg Gibson. Most of them are just having some fun, it sounds like.
I'll tell you, that's not a really good pickoff move over to first base by Robbie Ray, but we know he has that step-off move where he snaps the throw over there. Maybe just trying to set up Hunter Pence over there at first base, show him that slow move, show him the bad move with the high leg kick. Maybe he takes an extra step on his lead, and then you drop your good move on him.
That's something you were calling for all last year.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie would usually show that quick step-off, pick-off move to the first batter that got on base, and then everybody in the dugout knows it. Tonight, being a little more crafty, hopefully setting it up. Terry Mulholland was the best with that step-off move for a left-handed pitcher, and he would set it up well. He'd show a couple of really bad pick-off moves over to first base. Guy would take an extra step, and Terry would pick him off by 10 feet.
2-2 to Posey. It rolls away from Mathis. The throw to second, and Pence is in there.
He just hit him in a bad spot in the glove, hit him mostly on the thumb. He tried to get to it quickly and snap that throw to second base. You know that's really upsetting for Jeff Mathis. He takes great pride in his receiving back there behind home plate.
Well, when Brandon Belt took an extra 90 feet in the fourth inning, he walked and stole a base. It made a huge difference in the ball game because he scored on a Crawford single to left field. And now with 2 outs and a full count on Buster Posey, Pence is standing at second base.
And that 90-foot advance quite possibly could change the pitch that you throw in this situation.
Laced fair down the left field line. Pence will score to make it 3-2 Giants. Buster Posey the RBI double, as Robbie Ray couldn't quite finish off the 6th inning. And here comes Torey Lovullo. You've got Brandon Crawford coming up, the lefty Jorge De La Rosa warming up in the bullpen.
It was a slider and just caught too much place. 83 miles an hour right in the middle of the dish. Buster Posey able to keep it fair down into the corner, and that extra 90 feet really plays big again.
Robbie Ray pitched a very nice ball game, but he leaves trailing 3-2. Well, Robbie Ray got the first 2 outs in the 6th inning. On a walk to Hunter Pence, a pass ball, and a Buster Posey double. And he leaves trailing 3-2 after 5 2/3. On comes Jorge De La Rosa. It's the ash line call to the bullpen.
De La Rosa really good in the ball game last night. Pitched a scoreless 7th, struck out a couple of Giants hitters, hitting 95 with his fastball.
Yeah, he came on to start the 7th inning last night. Got a pop up and a couple of strikeouts. 1, 2, 3 in the 7th, and now he's trying to strand Posey at second base in what is now a 3-2 ball game. And he'll work to the left-hand hitting Brandon Crawford, who had an RBI single his last time up. Jorge De La Rosa last season in Colorado. Remember, he was their opening day starter in this ballpark last year for the Rockies. But last year, for the first time since 2008, worked a little bit out of the bullpen. 27 appearances last year, 24 starts. And now at the age of 36, trying to extend his career as a reliever in the D-backs bullpen. He's yet to throw a fastball to Crawford. He's ahead 1-2. And boy, so far so good. Mathis wants a word.
Well, as we saw in his last at bat, Brandon Crawford against a left-handed pitcher is much more willing to go to the opposite field. His base hit back in the fourth came to left field. Against right-handed pitchers, he's usually looking for something to pull to the right side, possibly get it in the air to the right side. But against the lefty, he is more than willing to go to the opposite field.
Crawford can handle himself up there. 276 versus lefties last year. Eduardo Nunez would be next. Giants have only 3 hits tonight, but they lead at 3-2. Aaron Hill, a solo homer in the third. Crawford, the RBI single in the fourth. Now Posey, the run-scoring double in the sixth. Full count, 3-2. No, he didn't. Jim Wolf says Crawford checked, and it's a 2-out walk.
Third baseman, Eduardo Nunez.
Strong hands and forearms there by Brandon Crawford, stopping that bat. Recognized the breaking ball out of the zone, able to check his swing and take the base on balls. Speaking of base on balls, that really what hurt Robbie Ray tonight. He gave up the solo home run to Aaron Hill, but then a leadoff walk to Brandon Belt in the fourth and a 2-out walk here in the sixth to Hunter Pence. Both came around to score.
Robbie walked 3 in the ball game. 2 of them scored, and now De La Rosa will deal with the pesky Eduardo Nunez, who's grounded out twice tonight, but he's got 7 hits in the series. Posey at second, Crawford at first. Three straight have reached for the Giants in this inning, all with 2 outs. That's a rocket into the seats and out of play. Roof and panels open on a just perfect night at the ballpark in downtown Phoenix. Very comfortable here. Just a lovely evening for baseball. Zoe Lavello trying to take 3 of 4 from the Giants, but the Diamondbacks trail at 3-2.
Yeah, we never take for granted the perfect conditions here at Chase Field for a home game. I watched some of the highlights of the Boston Red Sox yesterday. 39 degrees at game time. It got colder.
A whole bunch of rainouts. White Sox had their opening day game rained out against the Tigers. Well, Nunez now ahead in the count, 3-1. That's 4 consecutive 3-ball counts by Diamondback pitchers. 2 by Robbie Ray, now 2 by Jorge De La Rosa. Just trying to get this final out in the 6th. Is he all right? Took a big cut at a 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Rolled over on that right ankle a little bit as he took that big hack. Appears to be okay.
Well, this will get the runners started. Posey's at second, Crawford's at first. 2 outs, a full count to Eduardo Nunez. There go the runners. Mathis can't hang on to the foul tip. Always a big deal in this ballpark with some of the big gaps here, when you can get that runner from first base started early. Anything into the gap has a good chance to score Crawford. Runners go. Nunez slaps it just foul. And right there is Dr. Van Nostrand, our Golden Glover down the left field line. That's David Van Ness. The doctor is in, Dr. Van Nostrand. And working right field tonight, a rookie. That is George Skywalker. And just looking at him, you can see why his nickname is Sky.
Yeah.
Couple of, well, we got one veteran and one rookie down there tonight. He missed. So De La Rosa has come in and walked Crawford and Nunez back to back. And now the Giants with 2 outs have the bases loaded for Chris Marrero. No one warming up in the D-backs bullpen. Here comes Mike Butcher. That's 4 straight who have reached for the Giants with 2 outs.
Talked about it earlier this spring. Torey Lovullo and Mike Butcher have talked at great length about Chris Iannetta, as well as Chris Herman and Jeff Mathis, and their ability to kind of be the conduit, be a pitching coach on the field. Speculated that maybe that would save some of those visits to the mound. We saw Mike Butcher make more visits to the mound than any pitching coach in baseball last year. So the catchers may take on more of a load this year.
Chris Marrero. Marrero so far on the season and in the series is 0 for 7 with 4 strikeouts. You saw the runners Posey at third, Crawford at second, and Nunez at first. Chases that one. A breaking ball down, and De La Rosa's ahead 0-2. Center field, A.J. Pollock. Well, Jorge De La Rosa walked the high wire. He walked 2, but he leaves them loaded. It's 3-2 San Francisco. Well, look who's leading off the 6th inning. It's David Peralta and Paul Goldschmidt. They led off the 4th with back-to-back opposite field home runs. There are State Farm winning combo.
Don't forget how you did it. Same 2 guys leading off this bottom half of the 6th inning.
Jeff Samardzija back out there so far. He has 9 strikeouts. He just struck out the side in the 5th. Now Peralta leads off the 6th. D-backs trail it 3-2. That was Peralta's first hit this year. He had been 0 for 10 prior to that home run. Peralta really not worried about hitting home runs. He's up there just concentrating on getting a base hit, making good contact, and he figures if he does that, the doubles and home runs are going to come on their own. Just put the ball into the gap and try and make good contact up there. And you do that, some of those balls are going to go. Samardzija being careful. He's behind 3-0. Goldie on deck. A 4-pitch walk starts off the D-backs sixth. First walk issued by Samardzija.
Well, that should be a red flag for Bruce Bochy. Samardzija had been pounding that strike zone all night long. Issues his first walk of the night starting the sixth inning. Maybe a sign that the mechanics are starting to come apart a little bit. Maybe a little fatigue setting in his first start of the year.
Goldie has struck out and homered. This is the third time through the order now for Samardzija. Goldie's home run, by the way, broke a tie with Steve Finley for second on the Diamondbacks all-time hit list with 847. Goldie now with 848. Trailing only Gonzo. Gonzo well over 1,300 career hits in a D-backs uniform. So now Goldie number 2. Samardzija 70 pitches, 46 strikes. Bullpen for the Giants is quiet.
All right, the part of the ball game where the Diamondbacks offense has really come to life in the early going this season. They'd only scored 1 run in the first 3 innings of ball games, 14 runs in innings 4, 5, and 6, and 5 runs in 7, 8, and 9. So time to get it going.
They've out-hit the Giants 5-3, but they trail it 3-2. Fastball missed. 2 balls and 1 strike. Long look down to Tony Perez-Chica, the third base coach. Dave McKay in the ear of David Peralta at first. Peralta holds, and Goldie takes a strike. Base hit. Peralta stops at second. First 2 have reached in the D-backs sixth.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Well, Jake Lamb has been up there twice. He struck out twice, 0 for 2. Still no one throwing in the Giant bullpen. High strike call there, and it's 0-1. Jake Lamb, even with a second half slump of sorts last year, still finished with 69 extra base hits. That put Jake top 10 in the National League. Trying to get it going here this year. He's got a double and a home run so far. 2 for 14 to start the year. Jake Lamb drives one right center field. It's gone. That's the Diamondbacks' third homer tonight. They lead it 5-3, and Bob, you know what that means.
Yeah, of course we do.
Tacos.
Yeah. Nice going, Jake Lamb.
Dave Righetti out to the mound. A walk, a single, and a home run. Open up the Arizona 6th.
Boy, Jake had really struggled against Samardzija's first 2 at-bats in this ball game, but 93 down over the heart of the plate is right in his happy zone. Hit it right out there near that 413 mark. If that ball's 3 or 4 feet to the left, it stays in play, but snuck up into the RamTrucks.com pool area for a 3-run blast.
Jake Lamb, whose bobblehead day is this Saturday at Chase Field, comes up with a big jumbo jack, and it's 5-3 D-backs. Here's Chris Owings, who's 0 for 2. Back-to-back solo homers by Peralta and Goldie in the 4th, and now a 3-run jumbo jack by Lamb in the 6th. All 5 Diamondback runs coming via the homer. This is popped up, foul ground, third base side, but it's leaking out of play. Oh, Jake Lamb, what a year it was last year. 29 home runs, 91 runs batted in. Led the Diamondbacks in extra base hits. Was nearly an all-star. And now Jake, at the age of 26, ready to take that next step.
And still no activity in the Giants bullpen.
Well, if you were Bochy, would you want to go in there?
It's just, you know, so unlike what we've seen in the early going from Jeff Samardzija. The leadoff walk right away should have been a red flag. Then he gave up a hard hit single to right field, and then an absolute blast to the right of straightaway center.
Samardzija had retired 4 in a row coming into this inning. In fact, he struck out the side in order in the 5th. But a walk to Peralta, the single by Goldie, and the 3-run homer by Lamb. And now Hunter Strickland will start warming up, the big right-hander. 80 pitches for Samardzija, 52 strikes. 2-2 on CO. D-backs about hit the Giants now 7-3. Herman is 2 for 2, couple of singles. He's on deck. That's a pretty good core group right there.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Another guy at the plate you build around. Owings drives it the other way, but Hunter Pence runs it down in the corner. That's the first out in the bottom of the 6th.
You know, and not to take anything away from Dave Magadan or any hitting coach in baseball, but that's where you really learn about opposing pitchers and what did he throw you? What did it look like? Did his slider have a lot of tilt to it? Was it flat? Did it go down? That's where you really learn a lot about opposing pitchers.
Taijuan Walker whispering into Jake Lamb's ear. Here's Herman, who's 2 for 2. It's funny you mention that because after the game last night, that's the thing that Torey Lovullo said impressed him the most. The way that these young players get together in the Diamondback dugout and talk about, all right, what are you seeing? He said the big discussion last night was about Matt Moore's release point. What are you seeing? I'm seeing this. Well, try this. This is working for me. And those kind of discussions lead to winning those moments, and the offense seems to build up momentum as the game wears on.
Well, I know you talked about it on the radio last night on the post-game show over there with Mike Farron. about the second and third time through the lineup against the starting pitcher. I gave the numbers a moment ago. The Diamondbacks haven't scored a lot in the early going of ball games. But that second time through the batting order and then the third time through the batting order, better at bats, better contact, scoring more runs.
There you go, right there.
Yeah.
If this group can stay healthy and stay together, they'll get the chance that they didn't have last year when they had so many injuries. And that group, that picture we just saw, was one reason why the new front office decided not to tear the whole thing down over the winter. They said, you know what, we've got a lot of talent here at the big league level. Let's give this group a chance that it didn't have last year and see what happens. Full count now on Herman, 3-2. Nice to have Chris Herman for a whole season as well. You forget how much time Chris missed last year. He had a couple of big injuries. And in fact, by the time the season ended, he didn't even have 150 at bats. He was hurt so much. Had a good spring, hit better than 330. And he works a walk. Second walk in the inning, issued by Samardzija, who had not walked any batter prior to the sixth. And that'll bring up Daniel Descalso.
Second baseman, Daniel Descalso.
Descalso 0 for 2. He has struck out and lined out to first. Base hit. It's by Belt under the feet of Chris Herman, who had to hop out of the way of that one. And that's the 5th D-backs base runner in this 6th inning.
Takes advantage of that big hole on the right side of the infield. This is not Daniel Descalso's first rodeo. He knows where the weakness is in the defense. Looked for a pitch that he could jerk through that right side and puts D-backs at first and second.
Bruce Bochy will chat with DJ Rayburn as he gets ready to make a double switch. Joe Panik is coming into the ball game, and Aaron Hill will move out to left field. Back after this. Jeff Samardzija's night ends in the 6th inning. Diamondbacks lead the Giants 5-3, trying to take 3 of 4 from San Francisco. And after the Giants leave tonight, the Diamondbacks take on the defending American League champion Cleveland Indians. A 3-game set starts tomorrow night here at Chase. And don't forget a post-game fireworks show tomorrow night. That's presented by Gila River Casinos. And then Saturday, April 8th, you can get the first bobblehead of the year, the Jake Lamb bobblehead, courtesy of Arizona Sports 98.7 FM. Get your opening weekend tickets now at dbacks.com. Joe Panik checks into the ball game. He takes over at second base, replacing Aaron Hill. Hill replaces Marrero in left field. Panik bats 9th, pitcher spot now 7th in the Giants order. Here's Hunter Strickland. Jeff Mathis, the catcher, 0 for 2. Chris Herman's the runner at second base. Daniel Descalso at first. 1 out and 3 runs in on the Lamb homer. Pitcher spot is up next for the Diamondbacks. Jeremy Hazelbaker is in the on-deck circle. And it looks like Tom Wilhelmsen warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. Nope. Randall Delgado. Oh, and 2 on Mathis. A lot of the pitchers for the D-backs seem to favor the high Sox with these Throwback Thursday unions.
They just do that to confuse us.
Yeah. Two and two. Strickland missed at 97. We saw Hunter Strickland work the game here Tuesday night. Pitched the 9th inning. Had a walk and 2 strikeouts. That's out of play. Jeff Mathis trying to be a hitter up there. Had the big day at the plate opening day. But Mathis has the lowest career OPS of any player in baseball. Right about 560. So he is a defense first guy. But boy, he had some great at bats opening day Sunday.
He sure did.
He's had a very good career as a defense first type catcher with the Angels, the Blue Jays, the Marlins, and now the Diamondbacks. Pops it up. Belt coming in. And he's got it in foul ground, 2 outs. Well, here's one of the guys who had one of the big hits last night, Jeremy Hazelbaker, a pinch hit RBI double, his first hit as a Diamondback.
A lefty on lefty matchup, and Hazelbaker hung in there and hooked the ball down into the right field corner. Big
Number 41, Jeremy Hazelbaker.
And now he gets a chance against the right-hander Strickland with 2 on and 2 out. David Peralta led off this inning against Samardzija with a walk. Goldie followed with a single to right. And then Jake Lamb, his second home run this season, a 3-run shot. Just like that, it was 5-3. After Owings lined out, Herman walked, Descalso singled. Now here's Hazelbaker. And he laces one foul down the right field line. Jumped on a fastball from Strickland at 96.
Well, that's got to make you rethink your pitch selection. If you're Hunter Strickland and Buster Posey, you throw a 96-mile-an-hour fastball and the guy jerks a line drive foul to his pull field.
Well, went back to the fastball again at 96, but he missed. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
As a general rule, when you see a guy pull a ball that far foul on one of your best fastballs, you come back with a straight changeup. But I don't think Hunter Strickland throws a straight changeup.
Straight heat, another one at 96. 2-2. Yeah, there's not a lot of nuance with Hunter Strickland.
No. Just watching Buster Posey flash the signs back there since Strickland came in the game, and it's all 3s and 1s. 1-3-3, 1-1-3, 1-3. Oh, he mixed in a 4 there. Ooh.
Let's see what that means right here. 2-2. Center field. It drops in front of Hernandez. Here comes Herman. The throw is all over the infield. Hazelbaker comes through again at 6-3.
Money hitting. Jeremy Hazelbaker, couple runners on base. It's a fastball out over the plate, just slaps it into center field. Descalso kind of drew that throw to third base to make sure that the run was able to score, and then able to hustle back into the bag at second when he saw the throw going to third.
Well, the Giants took a 3-2 lead in the top half of this inning. The Diamondbacks have answered with 4. Still 2 on and 2 out. Now here's A.J. Pollock, who's 0 for 3. How about this, BB? Our increasingly reliable staff has come up with this. Diamondbacks pinch hitters this year so far. 4 for 8 with 4 RBIs.
Wow. I love that. That's kind of an overlooked aspect of any team. You think over the course of a season how many times you're sending a pinch hitter up there, whether it be for the pitcher spot or to get a better matchup against an opposing pitcher late in the ball game. You got some guys that are familiar with that role and have had success doing it in the past. It could be a lot of fun this year.
Finally, a non-fastball there from Hunter Strickland. 1-1 on AJ. Pollock, the 9th man to bat in the Arizona 6th. As once again, Torey Lovullo has watched his ball club come back against these Giants. It's Brandon Webb's Never Say Diamondbacks. Pollock hits one sky high to center for Gorkys Hernandez. But the Diamondbacks send 9 to the plate. 4 of them score. It started with Jake Lamb, a 3-run homer. We'll head to the 7th. It's 6-3 D-backs. Well, don't go anywhere. The Diamondbacks have come back again against the Giants. They lead at 6-3. As we start the 7th inning, Pepsi is the official soft drink of your Arizona Diamondbacks. So fans, stop by your local Fry's and stock up on some today. Pepsi, the official drink of the D-backs. Well, once again, a good litmus test for this Diamondbacks bullpen. Here's Randall Delgado to start the 7th against Aaron Hill. Remember, Randall had a very rough night here on Tuesday against these Giants. He came on to start the 5th inning. Got only 2 outs, gave up 5 runs on 5 hits. Our ash line call to the bullpen. Aaron Hill right to CO at shortstop, 1 away. Joe Panik's first at bat tonight.
Second baseman.
Panik double switched into the ball game. Playing second base and batting 9th, pitcher spot 7th in the Giants order. Panik 5 hits in the series. He has doubled and tripled. Diamondbacks bullpen passed the test last night, although some rough moments in the 8th inning for J.J. Hoover, but they held on and won at 8-6. And they'll look to the bullpen again to get the last 9 outs and try and take 3 of 4 from these Giants. Diamondbacks a chance to start 3-1 for the first time in 4 years. Roll to shortstop for Owings. 2 down.
Hey fans, MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, you get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Gorkys Hernandez, the center fielder, 0 for 3. 2 for 15 in the series. After the Giants leave town tonight, the Cleveland Indians, the defending American League champions, come in here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Shelby Miller makes his 2017 debut tomorrow night against Cleveland's Josh Tomlin. Don't forget that's Friday night fireworks. There's Shelby. Diamondback Live pregame show at 6 o'clock on Fox Sports Arizona. And then Jake Lamb bobblehead day is Saturday here. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. Zach Greinke versus former Diamondback Trevor Bauer in that ball game. So bring your drone. No, I'm just kidding. Don't.
No, don't.
But remember Trevor Bauer just bleeding all over the baseball in
yeah.
the postseason last year? That was unbelievable. Cut himself or cut his finger on his drone. It's happened so often.
It's a common injury in baseball.
Yeah, sure.
I believe the Indians are already in town. Went down to the Giants clubhouse before the ball game, and all the Indians' gear is stacked up in the corner of the visiting clubhouse waiting for the Indians to come to the ballpark tomorrow.
Brandon Belt on deck. 2-2 to Gorkys Hernandez. Sunday's game's Patrick Corbin versus Corey Kluber. Hernandez on a hop. It's off the chest of Descalso, and he recovers. Oh, but Hernandez with good speed beats it out. It rolled away from Daniel about 4 or 5 feet, and just about a step too far. That was hit hard right at him, though.
Good quick recovery by Descalso. Just the speed of Gorkys Hernandez, able to leg that one out.
E4. So Hernandez aboard with 2 outs, and now this is that gauntlet that Bob talks about so often with these guys. Brandon Belt. Belt has walked, stolen a base, and scored a run. He's 0 for 2. Don't want to put base runners on ahead of Belt and Penson, Posey, and Crawford. Shift is on. There's ball 1. By the way, there's a story. I don't know if you read the Cleveland Plain Dealer. I know I do every morning, but you can read it at foxsports.com. There's a minor league team planning a drone bobblehead giveaway, and that team is the Reno Aces.
Really?
Yeah, the Diamondbacks AAA affiliate. After Trevor Bauer was drafted 3rd overall by the D-backs back in 2011, they'll have a Trevor Bauer drone bobblehead on August 19th. Get your tickets now.
Oh, my. Well, speaking of the Reno Aces, the minor league season got underway tonight. Reno was at Fresno. Jackson was playing at home against Birmingham. Visalia was at Lancaster. Kane County home against Clinton. We wish all those affiliates the best of luck this year for a healthy season.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks' first season with their AA club in Jackson, Tennessee, the Jackson Generals, where J.R. House is the skipper this year, after he did such a great job at Visalia the last few seasons. And there's Jerry Narron, who is the manager of the Reno Aces. Jerry has been here all throughout camp, ready to fill in for Gardy when Ron Gardenhire steps away to have his prostate cancer dealt with. And so Jerry will be Torey Lovello's bench coach, and boy, we are all behind Gardy.
Yeah, we'll alert the fans if you want to follow some of our minor league affiliates, and who doesn't. If you go to dbacks.com and then go under the button for roster, it'll have minor league affiliates, and you can pull them up and go to those various sites. A lot of them televise their home games.
Yeah, there's a lot of times you can watch an internet feed.
Sure.
Some of these AAA and AA games. I know Domingo Leyba just suffered a big shoulder injury. He's going to be out at least 2 months.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, Hunter Pence on deck. And as Delgado has worked himself into trouble here against Belt, it's 3-0. And you can follow all those minor league teams on Twitter, by the way. That's a great way to keep up with what's happening in the minor league system. All of the minor league teams have their own Twitter accounts, and they'll tweet lineups and game results and pictures from all the ballparks. Broken bat. Look out, Randall. He ducked the bat, caught the ball, and retires Brandon Belt. Well, that got a little hairy, but a good inning there for Randall Delgado, who gets us to the home half of the 7th. He caught the ball and then ducked the bat, coming right at him. D-backs lead the Giants 6-3. Throwback Thursday. Baxter in the house. Diamondbacks lead the Giants 6-3. Fans only. T-Mobile lets you stream, post, and share all things MLB. With T-Mobile One, unlimited data means unlimited baseball. David Peralta, who led off the 6th with a walk, leads off the 7th against Hunter Strickland. D-backs have out-hit the Giants 9-3. They lead at 6-3. Peralta knocks it away from the shade. Nunez knocks it down, spins and throws him out. Sounded like he broke his bat there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Good approach right there. They were, as you said, kind of shading him around to the right side. Nunez well off the bag at third, but unfortunately that ball hit almost right at him.
There's Goldie, 2 for 3, a home run, a single. He scored twice tonight. Goldie's home run is 2nd of the year. Opposite field shot. Peralta and Goldie opened up the 4th inning with back-to-back solo homers. Both opposite field home runs. There's the strike. It's 0-1. Ty Block, the only lefty in the Giant bullpen. A guy who probably pitched better than Matt Cain in camp this year is warming up now, but they decided to give Cain that 5th starter spot. Crawford behind the bag. 2 outs. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing cool play of the game. Jake Lamb in the 6th with 2 on and no outs. Gone. Woo.
Fastball straight out over the heart of the plate, right where he likes it, down a little bit and golfed it well out of here.
Jake's 2nd home run this year. D-backs have hit 3 home runs tonight. No one warming up at the Diamondback bullpen. Giants in the 8th inning will have the heart of the order. Pence, Posey, and Crawford 3, 4, and 5. So the next 3 outs could prove to be the key outs of the ball game for the Diamondback pen. 2-0.
Well, we talked a lot recently about obvious fastball counts and how there aren't very many anymore, but if there was ever a fastball count, it's right here. 2-0 against Hunter Strickland. Get it ready.
Posey wants it down and away.
That's a good take right there. He did get the fastball, but up and away out of the strike zone.
Because if you're sitting on a pitch like that, you're not only looking for the pitch, but location too, right?
Yeah, when the count's in your favor like that, you can get real picky with what you're looking for.
3-0. A 4-pitch walk to Lamb. Good at bat by Jake there. And now here's Chris Owings. Although some weren't that impressed.
Yeah, big deal.
Shortstop, Chris Owings.
Well, she's starting to get excited. You're a Chris Owings fan. That's what it is.
Who isn't? CO tonight 0 for 3. Hunter Strickland got the final 2 outs of the 6th, gave up the RBI single by Hazelbaker in between, and now trying to finish off the 7th. Missed at 96, 2 balls and a strike. Dodgers won today behind Brandon McCarthy. They beat the Padres 10-2 in LA. Rockies won again in Milwaukee, 3-1 the final there. Randall Delgado will get the 8th inning. No one throwing the D-backs bullpen. That's going to drift out of play. Giants, after they leave town tonight, head to San Diego. They'll play a 3-game series against the Padres. Tomorrow's game will be the home opener at Petco Park. Diamondbacks are home against Cleveland. Shelby Miller makes his 2017 debut here tomorrow night against Josh Tomlin. Two-2 pitch. Boy, Jake Lamb was hopping around down there at first. In fact, he started hopping back toward the first base bag at the last moment. And everybody in the Giants was screaming timeout.
We saw opposing teams approach Jake Lamb when he was on base like he was Ricky Henderson last year.
Unbelievable.
He drew as many pickoff attempts at first base as any D-backs player last year.
Oh, Strickland stayed away from the fastball that time and dropped it in for strike 3. We go to the 8th inning. D-backs lead at 6-3. 8th inning at Chase Field. D-backs lead the Giants 6-3. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly back with you. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. The Cleveland Indians, the defending American League champions, come in here tomorrow night, the first of 3. Shelby Miller makes his 2017 debut against Josh Tomlin. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. Don't forget Friday night fireworks after that ball game.
How could you forget that? I've been looking forward to that first fireworks night of the year.
First one coming up tomorrow night. And then Jake Lamb bobblehead day on Saturday. So here's Randall Delgado, who did a very good job in the 7th inning. He's got 2 right-handers to lead off the 8th inning, Hunter Pence and Buster Posey. Then the left-hand hitting Brandon Crawford due up 3rd in this inning. Andrew Chafin has started warming up in the D-backs bullpen. So Chafin, it looks like, getting ready for Crawford. But first, Delgado will deal with Pence and Posey. Hunter Pence walked and scored his last time up. He's 0 for 2. He's got 6 hits in the series, had 2 hits in the ball game last night. Gets this one in the air, headed for the right field corner. Peralta's got room, and the freight train runs it down in foul ground for the first out.
That's where it really helps to know exactly where you are on the field. You see David extend that left hand, feeling for that bullpen fence. He knows he's getting close, but able to make the play for the first out of the inning.
Buster Posey. Posey had an RBI double his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Posey's double in the 6th inning ended Robbie Ray's night. Made it 3-2 Giants, but the Diamondbacks answered with 4 in the bottom of the 6th. A 3-run homer by Jake Lamb, an RBI single by the pinch hitter Jeremy Hazelbaker. Second night in a row that Hazelbaker has had a RBI pinch hit. Chafin continues warming up for the Diamondbacks with Crawford on deck. Fastball's in there, and it's 1-2. Good location there from Randall Delgado. 20 pitches for Randall, 13 strikes.
It's a good location because DJ Rayburn has been willing to go off that outside corner to the right-handers tonight. I think that pitch was a little bit off the edge, but got the call nonetheless.
Yeah, you saw a little bit of an eye roll there from Buster Posey. Chafin's ready in the bullpen. Baxter always ready for that photo with the cell phone. by Jake Lamb. A fair ball headed for the left field corner. Chris Herman picks it up out there, and Posey has his second double tonight.
Hot smash down there to the hot corner. Just past Jake Lamb. Made a diving attempt, but it got by him into that left field corner. Chris Herman, the Diamondbacks were kind of bunching their outfielders against Buster Posey, giving him both the right and left field line, figuring he's more likely to hit the ball to the big part of the field.
Well, like we figured, Torey Lovullo with his left-hander ready will go to Andrew Chafin to face Brandon Crawford. We're back after this. Eighth inning at Chase Field. D-backs lead the Giants 6-3. Last night when things were getting hairy in the eighth inning, Torey Lovullo went to Andrew Chafin with the bases loaded. He walked in a run. He walked Aaron Hill, but then left him loaded as he struck out Joe Panik. And now, 24 hours later, our Ash line called to the bullpen as Chafin on to face Brandon Crawford with Buster Posey at second base and one out.
A little bit of history between these two. Brandon Crawford 3 for 9 with a double. However, he struck out 4 times against Andrew Chafin.
Crawford tonight has an RBI single and a walk. He's 1 for 2. He's got 6 hits in the series. Crawford the hitter, Nunez on deck, then the pitcher's spot. That extra 90 feet has really been a problem for the Diamondbacks tonight. Brandon Belt stole a base in the 4th inning, guy that doesn't normally run a whole lot. But that made a big difference. He scored on a Crawford RBI single. And then Hunter Pence advanced after a walk on a pass ball against Jeff Mathis, and he scored on a Posey double. Chafin behind, 2 balls and no strikes. A very high chopper. Goldie. Chafin covers. 2 down as Posey steps into third. A little awkward landing there for Andrew Chafin, but he appears to be okay.
Yeah, very important when a pitcher gets over to cover first base on a play like this with a runner at second base. After you touch that bag and get the out, immediately spin around and check the runner at third base. I think in his haste to turn around there, Andrew Chafin kind of lost his footing and did a little slide out there in the dirt. Goldie will have to fix that divot.
Well, Goldie's too busy laughing. Big smile on his face right there.
It's tough to pitch in roller skates.
Well, that was a big out nonetheless, so 2 down, and here's Eduardo Nunez. Nunez has had a big series, 7 hits, but tonight 0 for 2 with a walk. No one throwing in the D-backs bullpen. Pitcher spot is up next, and former U of A great Nick Hundley, the backup catcher this year, is in the on-deck circle. Chris Owings, the backhander at shortstop, a long throw. Andrew Chafin comes in and gets the job done. Another check mark for the D-back bullpen. It stays 6-3.
We go to the bottom of the 8th. Jody Jackson and Brandon Webb as we get set for Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink, our post-game show. And Brandon, it looks like the Diamondbacks have crafted yet another comeback here, and we talked about it in the pregame. The top of the order, 1 through 4, very productive tonight.
Yeah, absolutely getting it done in the 4th inning. Peralta, Goldie going back-to-back, but Jake Lamb in the 6th inning. Big 3-run bomb, difference maker so far right now.
Yeah, the long ball, and we will talk about the pitching matchup between Samardzija and Ray as well. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks, guys. All smiles so far for Torey Lovullo as his D-backs lead the Giants 6-3. Chris Herman, who has singled twice and walked, leads off the 8th inning against the new pitcher for the Giants, the only left-hander Bruce Bochy has in his bullpen. A guy who's been a starting pitcher his entire professional career. It's Ty Blach. But he had such a good spring, didn't quite get the 5th starter's spot. That went to Matt Cain, but Blach is going to start the year in a relief role when he retires Herman. Blach, a 26-year-old lefty coming off a good season with the Giants last year. Got his first big league look in September.
Now, this is a guy that the Diamondbacks had to heavily rely on advanced scouting and video scouting because there had only been one previous at bat against Ty Blach, and that was by Jake Lamb.
Daniel Descalso singled his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Ty Blach 17 innings in the major leagues last year. He was a September call-up. Made 4 appearances for the Giants, 2 starts, and gave up just 2 runs in 17 innings. He pitched very well. And he had a good spring. In fact, his final appearance last year was a start against the Dodgers October 1st in San Francisco. And Blach worked 8 scoreless innings, gave up only 3 hits, and got his first big league win. This one is slicing very high in the air, short left field. Aaron Hill's out there, but Crawford takes it. 2 outs. Get your bow and arrow ready. He got his first D-back save last night. Fernando Robbie will get the 9th. Giants will have the pitcher spot. Aaron Hill and Joe Panik due up 7, 8, 9. Here's the catcher, Jeff Mathis, 0 for 3. D-backs tonight with a chance to take 3 of 4 from the Giants and open the season 3-1 for the first time in 4 years. But for the second night in a row, the bullpen's going to have to get the job done. So far, so good. With De La Rosa, Delgado, and Chafin. 1-1 on Mathis. Pitcher spot due up next for the D-backs. Nick Ahmed in the on-deck circle. Mathis ahead 3-1. There's Nick. Ball 4.
Pitch hitting for Andrew Chafin.
Well, the hope is this year that becomes a bigger part of the Diamondbacks offense, the ability to draw walks, take walks. If the guy's having trouble throwing strikes, don't chase out of the zone. Take your walk, set it up for the guy coming up behind you.
Nick had an RBI double in last night's game. Got the start at shortstop. He was 1 for 4. Also had that big ribby single opening day Sunday. That's in there for a strike, and it's 1-1. Ty Blach suddenly, after getting the first 2 hitters, Having trouble throwing strikes, he walked Mathis. Now 3-1 on Ahmed with A.J. Pollock on deck. "14 pitches for Block, and so far more balls than strikes." That's in there. It's a full count, 3-2. Nick was on his way to first. DJ Rayburn back there tonight. Belt will play behind the runner. There goes Mathis, and Ahmed knocks it foul. Ball 4. Back-to-back 2-out walks, and A.J. Pollock will get a chance against the lefty. That's now 5 walks drawn by Diamondback hitters today.
Now batting, center fielder, A.J. Pollock.
Good at bat by Nick Ahmed. A.J. 0 for 4. But he's got 7 hits in the series, including 2 doubles and a homer. He can make that 9th inning a little less interesting right here.
And if the Diamondbacks are able to tack on another run or 2 in this situation, you'll probably see J.J. Hoover, who is up and just tossing right now. Fernando Rodney's ready to go, but J.J. Hoover just beginning to play a little bit of catch just in case the Diamondbacks add on here and take the save situation away.
Hoover threw 17 pitches in the ball game last night. Pollock down 0-2. Everything else in baseball is now a final. Dodgers won at home today. They beat the Padres 10-2. Rockies 3-1 winners in Milwaukee. A.J. knocks it to left field. Aaron Hill coming in. He won't get there. Mathis will score. Nick Ahmed being waved home. And he is in there. 8-3 D-backs.
Boy, those 2-out walks sets up an opportunity for A.J. Pollock. He got jammed and floated it out there in front of Aaron Hill, who's a novice in left field. Made a nice attempt. It was in the glove momentarily and then flipped over in the gap in left center. Both D-backs base runners score.
Well, up until the other night, the last time Aaron Hill played any left field, he was a freshman at LSU. Here's Peralta, who has homered and walked tonight. Once again, the Diamondbacks have come back 2 in the 4th, 4 in the 6th. Now 2 more tack-on runs in the 8th. Sends it out to left again. Aaron Hill backing up on the run, looking up, and it's going to go off the wall. A.J. scores. 9-3 Diamondbacks. An RBI double for the freight train.
And the D-backs continue to add on late in ball games. We gave you the numbers earlier. They don't score a lot early in the ball game, but second and third time through the order against the starter and then against the opposing bullpen, they have busted out offensively. That's the 8th run they scored in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning.
David Peralta, the RBI double against the left-hander, brings Goldie up. 3 runs for the D-backs in the 8th, all with 2 outs. Goldie tonight, 2 for 4, a homer, a single. He scored twice. A tapper to shortstop. Crawford coming in. And that's the end of the inning. But the Diamondbacks tack on 3. 9-3 as we head to the 9th. Our Gila River game summary. Diamondbacks at one point trailed it 2-0. And 3-2. Now they lead at 9-3. David Peralta and Paul Goldschmidt back-to-back opposite field home runs to open up the 4th inning. And then Jake Lamb in the 6th. After Peralta walked and Goldie singled, a 3-run homer, his 2nd of the year. They tack on 3 in the 8th and lead at 9-3. Now here's J.J. Hoover, who had a rough time of things to start the 8th inning last night. He retired Pence, but then gave up singles to Posey, Crawford, and Nunez before he had to come out of the ball game. Our Ash line call to the bullpen.
Leading off for San Francisco.
And with a 6-run lead, it's Hoover instead of Rodney.
Number 21, Connor Gillespie.
Pitcher spot will lead it off for the Giants, and here's Connor Gillespie off the bench to hit for Ty Blach. Well, the Diamondbacks over the last 5 seasons have won just twice in 15 series against the Giants here at Chase Field. But now they're 3 outs away from starting this season by taking 3 of 4 from San Francisco in this ballpark and setting an excellent tone for 2017. Still 0-2 on Gillespie. And in every single win, should they hang on here, Bob, they've come from behind to do it.
Great way to start the season. You build up some confidence. I've seen it happen many times before when teams that I didn't think were that good, but they got off to good starts and started to believe in themselves and get that mojo working, get the fans involved, and before you know it, you're running off winning streaks and putting some ground between yourself and the rest of the division.
A critical start for Torey Lovullo's ball club. They play their first 14 games and 17 of their first 20 against postseason teams from last year. That includes the defending American League champion Cleveland Indians, who come in for 3 starting tomorrow night. And 24 of the first 27 against the NL West.
And those Indians are going to be a handful. We know that based on last season and what we saw in those 2 exhibition games right at the end of spring training here at Chase Field. They got some arms on the mound. They can pummel you with the bats. You're going to have to play nearly perfect baseball.
Gillespie fights one off, lifts it pretty deep right center field. But A.J. Pollock is there. Got it in on him just a bit. Tomorrow night, Shelby Miller versus Josh Tomlin.
Left fielder.
Saturday, Zach Greinke against former D-back Trevor Bauer. And then Sunday's finale, Patrick Corbin and Corey Kluber. Here's Aaron Hill, who homered in the 3rd. And after that Indian series, the D-backs head out for a long road trip, all in the NL West. 3 at San Francisco, 4 at Dodger Stadium, and 3 against the Padres at Petco Park. Giants are at San Diego for 3 starting tomorrow. Oh, and 2. Next time the Giants are in here won't be until the end of August. So we won't see him back in this ballpark for about another 4 months or so, 4.5 months, but we'll be in San Francisco for 3 games starting Monday. Giants still have only 4 hits in the game. Hill's homer in the 3rd. Crawford an RBI single in the 4th. And Posey doubles in the 6th and 8th. And that's been it for the Giants offense. Called strike 3.
Two sinkers to start the sequence. Jumped ahead 0-2 and then just kept throwing that slider on the outside part of the plate. Finally, the last one nips the outside corner for strike 3.
Joe Panik with 2 outs in the 9th. Well, Torey Lovullo, after a very good spring training, has got to be pleased with this first series. He said it was a very upbeat camp, a very competitive camp. And Torey, when spring training ended, told his players, look, we're now on the 2nd floor of this thing. The elevator is moving up. And now they have to keep building, keep working. And this first series has been a very, very big lift. Foul ground, and there it is. The Diamondbacks take 3 of 4 from the Giants, and they open a season 3-1 for the first time in 4 years.
Boy, well-pitched ball game tonight. Other than the walk, something you'd like to see cut down considerably moving forward, but big performance by the offense from the middle and later portions of the ball game, and bullpen came in and did a great job tonight.
3 home runs. Peralta and Goldie back-to-back in the 4th. Jake Lamb a 3-run homer in the 6th. And they win it 9-3. The Diamondbacks are 3-1. Brandon Webb has a lot to talk about. He's standing by with Jody Jackson. Jody.
Oh, we sure do, Steve. Thanks so much. D-Backs Live coming your way in moments. We'll have a reaction to this one. And this is the first 4-game series win over the Giants here at Chase since 2008, Brandon Webb.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they did it all. There was a team effort all around throughout the whole series. They had some very good pitchers that they had to, face this series. I mean, I think you tip your caps. They did a great job.
Yeah, and 2-out insurance there in the 8th inning. That was huge. Couple big outs from Andrew Chafin. I know you're going to break that down. We're going to look at Robbie Ray as well. So when we come back, Diamondbacks Live presented by CenturyLink begins. We've got your post-game show coming up. All the reaction to this one as the Diamondbacks cruise to a 9-3 victory here tonight at Chase. We'll see you in a moment for D-Backs Live.